What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about if OKC gets booted out of the first round again, is Russell Westbrook the main cause of that? So let's see what they have to say about that.
If they lose this series, it will be 3 consecutive years that Russell Westbrook went home in the first round. So at some point in time, that cachet, the superstar cachet and stature that he has, we know that he's the most athletic point guard we've ever seen. We know that he's one of the great athletes this game has ever seen. High-end competitor, never cheats us with effort. But because of the things that I mentioned previously, those things are going to usurp the positives that we're saying about him. And as a result, all the ire and the frustration is going to be pointed solely in his direction.
If the Thunder...
And what else is going to happen, Stephen A. Smith, is Russell Westbrook is going to continue justifying why Kevin Durant left OKC. Russell Westbrook is playing into everything Kevin Durant and other people said about not being able to play with him and not being able to win in OKC. So Kevin Durant every year is looking smarter and smarter for leaving OKC and going and play with Golden State and immediately starting to win. And it's continuing to win. So let's keep going.
Lose this series, will Westbrook shoulder all the blame? No, because of Paul George's shoulders. I mean, we saw this from Paul George. We saw it coming. He was having an MVP caliber year. Westbrook, I always taught, if he could only hit shots, we wouldn't be sitting here dissecting his psychology all the time. If he could just shoot it, but he can't. He's not a good shooter.
So, Max, that kind of goes without saying. I mean, if he could shoot it, they'd be winning. Of course. Or you mean if they would put more points on the board than the other team, that they'd win that game? Of course. That kind of goes without saying. And you say the same thing about James Harden and Houston Rockets. If he would have just made some of those 17 three-point shots that he missed, they would have won the game. That kind of goes without saying. So stop saying it. Let's keep going.
He had 1 year where he shot it really well, or for him, 34% from three. But as a volume shooter, he is not a good one. Not only does he take bad shots, but he can't hit good ones oftentimes from the field. And so that's really always been the issue with him. And I said on this show several times earlier in this season, if Westbrook hits shots, the Thunder can go all the way. They were playing lights-out defense. They just wound up with more possessions than the other team, even with Westbrook's turnovers. And Paul George is an MVP caliber player. And you know what? They could do it if he hit shots. But instead, it went the other way. His shooting got even worse. But you can't first the one, then the other. But we see his season, 2 distinct parts. MVP caliber, shoulder injury, no longer MVP caliber. You cannot put all of this on Westbrook.
Wait, I'm fascinated by the answer to this question.
So you can't put it all on Westbrook, but he's been pretty much the front runner of that ship. So being a front runner and being a point guard, he's going to take the majority of the blame. Now, I know that they are Paul George and Russell Westbrook are the duo, but the majority of it stands on Russell Westbrook. Even though Paul George, he got hurt, and he had an MVP caliber type in the beginning, got hurt, and everything went downhill. But you need somebody to back up Russell Westbrook to clean up the bad shots that he takes. They need to be making those shots and get those points that he misses. I know he's a volume shooter, but his backup is going to have to clean that up and carry their own weight, because Westbrook can't be trusted to make consistent shots by himself and probably win the game. He's going to need some help. And if his help is hurt, then he just doesn't have enough to be able to get over that hump with his inconsistent shots. So let's keep going.
Question based upon both of your answers. Stephen A., let me highlight something you said and ask the obvious follow-up. Westbrook has not made it out of the first round since KD left. You pointed that out. It'll be 3 straight seasons of first-round exits. Can you win in the NBA with your team led by Russell Westbrook?
It appears to be no. At this particular moment in time, it appears to be.
So I would say that you can win with Russell Westbrook, but it's going to come down to coaching and figuring out a strategy and how to use Russell Westbrook effectively. Sure, he loves to go hard. He's a volume shooter. He wants to have the ball and take the shots all the time, but that just can't win. And the numbers are showing that they won't be able to win if that's the way he plays. So what coach is going to have to do is figure out a way to have Westbrook take less shots and take more efficient shots. And when he sees a shot that is not a good shot, have him kick the rock out to somebody else that has a better chance of taking that shot, which pretty much what it is playing correct basketball. But Westbrook's not doing it at this point. So it's going to take a coach to sit down and show Westbrook, if you take less shots and you take more efficient shots and you work on making those shots, we can win. So not only are you going to have to shoot out to Westbrook, you're going to have to sell him on it. You're going to have to make him understand how it will work. But until that happens, I don't think it's going to happen, because Westbrook doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. And we've been over that before already. He doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. So he's not going to be able to take constructive criticism. He just won't do it because he doesn't care. So what a coach is going to have to do is make him understand, show him, if you take less shots and you take more efficient shots and you make the shots that you're supposed to make, we can win. But you're going to have to make Westbrook buy into it and get his mind right. Because like I said, he doesn't care and he's used to playing a certain type of way. So let's keep going.
Not if Russell Westbrook is your number one option, not if he's your leader. Nobody would would question the talent of Russell Westbrook. We know he's an elite talent. He's superstar caliber talent. But when you play the point guard position and you're ball dominant, meaning you're running the offense and most of the stuff is in your hands, that means the decision making is also on. As human beings you could ever encounter, who has never been known ever to have any kind of problem with the media, to my knowledge. He gets asked a question on about the last dunk, which, by the way, I had no problem with, and I don't think anybody but Portland should have had a problem with. And who cares, because they knew they were going to get on the court to get at them for Game 4. What was Paul George's answer? Next question. So you're saying that you followed, previously you had said, we're following the lead of Russell Westbrook. He's our leader. He took the bull by the horn. He said he would show up in Game 3 and it would be different. And he showed us exactly that. So
So I won't look too much deep into that, Stephen A. Smith. So I think Paul George was just probably following what Russell Westbrook does to that in particular reporter, because Russell Westbrook and that reporter have history, because that reporter has hounded and bugged Russell Westbrook and asked him stupid questions that weren't pertaining to basketball or were just stupid overall questions about basketball. So that's why Russell Westbrook treats that guy that way. And Paul George may have jumped on that bandwagon because he probably sees that guy ask Westbrook stupid questions and he just being his teammate, wants to have his back. So I won't look too deep into it. And also Westbrook is the team leader, so the guys are gonna Paul George is probably gonna follow him a little bit and follow his lead. So I wouldn't look too deep into the answering the reporter questions with Paul George. So I don't know, but let's keep going.
Following this guy. So Russell Westbrook is not just a talent. He's not just a superstar talent, but he's somebody that's been allocated the responsibility of leading this team. That means on and off the court, which means that's another reason we're going to look at you. And also, Max, that stuff that's on his shoulders, I got news for you. Again, literally speaking, it's not one individual. Of course, it's a team. But do you really, really think that in the months to follow this season, once the Oklahoma City Thunder are home for the playoffs, that anybody is going to be talking about the shoulders of Paul George? No, they're going to be talking about how Russell Westbrook played, because you have to juxtapose that to what you're seeing from Damian Lillard, who's giving it.
Damian Lillard is giving it to the OKC, but at the same time, back to Westbrook, you're definitely going to talk about Westbrook, because like I said, he's been the front runner for that team for the longest time. And he's had two superstars come through there, and he hasn't been able to win. He had Kevin Durant, and now he has Paul George. I know Paul George is hurt and can't play as effectively, but still, you would think somewhere he'd be able to get deeper in the playoffs or do something a little bit more better, but he hasn't, which is why Kevin Durant left. And if something tells me he doesn't get the ball rolling, Paul George might leave. Now, I don't know how long they have contracts. Paul George might have a long contract. I don't know. But, it's going to fall on Russell Westbrook, because he's the front runner. He's a front runner, pretty much the face of OKC. And again, for the third year in a row, especially since Kevin Durant left, he's been booted out of the first round of the playoffs. You can't get out of the first round? And you're supposed to be the number one player for our team. And, Mr. Triple, quadruple, double, quadruple, and gazebo. Double triples and all that. He's doing all that, and you can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. Who cares if you get a quadruple zillion double? It doesn't mean anything if you can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
You do, although Lillard, of course, is highly motivated because he was dominated defensively when he was on him by Drew Holiday in last year's playoffs, and they got swept as a result largely of the success Drew Holiday had against Lillard.
I don't notice they don't seem to like each other too much. I'm saying that's.
So I don't think they like each other because there's competition there. There's that silent competition that I'm thinking I'm better than you and vice versa, which there should be, but I think it goes a little bit probably further on than just the basketball course. Probably, Westbrook gets all this attention for all the stuff he does, and he can't make it out of the first round. Damian Lillard doesn't really get too much pub, partly because of his team and everything, his location and all that, and they haven't been specifically on the level of OKC as far as being recognized. So I think there might be a little hostility there, but Lillard is definitely making up for it. Because really, he has nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. If he doesn't make it to the playoffs, oh, well, just another year. Expectations weren't really that high for Portland, if you want to call it that. But OKC, Russell Westbrook, Adams, Paul George, they have a lot to lose, and particularly Westbrook, because they've been there before, and you still can't get out of the first round? Like I said before, it doesn't matter if you get a quadrillion, billion double. It doesn't matter what you get. You have to make it out of the first round or whatever happens in the regular season. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many quadruple, triple doubles you get, Westbrook. Look at James Harden. Still can't get to the finals. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
You're not wrong, but it's that they don't seem to like each other too much.
No, I get it. But Lillard is playing with like a guy with something to prove, because we all viewed Lillard as he's going to be special in the playoffs. And then what he did last season, he's making up for right now. Westbrook, the question is, can you win with Westbrook?
Yes.
He is one player in NBA history. I see him literally play to play in a game. One play, I go, it's the best player I've ever seen. I don't want to hear it from about anyone else. The very next play, I can say, you can't win a championship with this.
Again, what that points to is the coaching. The coach is not using Russell Westbrook effectively. He's letting him run out there and do whatever he wants to do, which is cool because he gets quadruple doubles all the time, but it's not efficient for the team to win. He can pad his stats, but it's not helping the team win. So like I said, the coach needs to sit down and figure out a better way or a different way to tweak the way Russell Westbrook plays. So he takes less shots. The shots that he does take are efficient shots. And when he can't take a shot because it's a bad shot and he recognizes it, kick the ball out to somebody else that has a better shot, which will be basically playing correct basketball. But until you do that with Westbrook, nothing's going to change because, again, he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. So whatever you say could be constructive criticism. He's not going to care about it. So it's going to have to be a coach that gets in Russell Westbrook's head and makes that change and tells him it doesn't matter if you get zillion triple doubles or whatever throughout the season. It doesn't matter if we can't get out of the first round. And like I said, I hate to bring him up, James Harden again. James Harden has MVP type years, but it doesn't matter if you can't get to the championship and win it. It doesn't matter what you do during the regular season. It just doesn't matter. So let's keep going.
This guy, it's the nature of his all-out kind of aggressive style. I still hold out hope that you can win a championship with Westbrook, but as the evidence mounts, he had a great team early on with Harden and Ibaka and Durant. Later on with Durant and Ibaka and others, he's had lots of shots.
And let me intervene. You don't want to talk about their earlier team when they had Harden, Kevin Durant, and Westbrook. Oh my gosh, all those guys won MVPs. They got to be kicking themselves for letting those guys leave or having them be traded or whatever the situation is. I mean, that's like the super, super duper team right there, full of MVPs. But that's for another video. So let's keep going.
And he's never been able to get it done. If he ends his career without a championship, he will not be remembered on the kind of level that he really should be. Right. And
but let's be clear about what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you can't win with Russell Westbrook. I want Russell Westbrook on my team. I'm saying he can't be the number one option.
Right. And that leads, and we'll have to leave it here and come back to it another time. That leads to the obvious next question is,